Hello, everybody, and welcome back to this Spiritual Thursday with Veteran Mountain Man. And today, I want to talk about the use of morals and spirituality to educate your children and why it's important that your children get exposure to religious moral foundations, even if it's not necessarily a particular brand of Christianity or Judaic beliefs or Islamic beliefs or Hindi beliefs or Sikh beliefs. I honestly have seen healthier, better adjusted children who turn into better adjusted adults come out of families that did not buy into the concept of there is absolutely no moral right and wrong. It seems that this postmodernist idea where there is no good and bad, there's just shades of gray, is actually very toxic to the development of an individual. Because in doing this, we end up with things such as the current social justice warrior movement and the current cultural Marxist movement with all of these pushes for more types of critical theory research. Because, critical theory only holds true if there is no right and wrong answer. If everything has to be challenged because society is not what we want it to be, then there is no right and wrong. Everything has to be challenged, and therefore your idea is just as valid as the idea that has been founded by thousands of individuals for decades or hundreds of years before you ever existed. They obviously know absolutely nothing, and you know everything. And that's the concept that's coming out of this postmodernism. And it realistically causes a great deal of narcissistic behavior. One of the things that I have noticed, though, is those that receive fundamental moral teachings from a right-wrong centric concept think deeper, think more critically, and think of others as well as themselves. And since human beings are a social creature, and society in and of itself is nothing more than a social contract that we will all abide to the same standards, it seems to be very important that we cultivate critical thinking as well as self-reflective and other-centric reflective thought, and not just narcissistic self-indulgent thought. Because the act of only supporting that narcissistic self-indulgent thought means that we're going to get 17-year-olds lecturing us on the moral correctness of communism when they've never even studied how many people Stalin lined up and killed. Because it's not required anymore. Because Stalin wasn't evil. Because there is no evil. Stalin was just Stalin, the leader of the USSR. And so you end up with this delusional fantasy of reality because of this postmodernism, which has allowed this cultural Marxism to truly flourish. And it's rather disturbing because it is very self-centric, insanely self-centric. I look at some of these people who espouse this stuff, and I see nothing in their eyes that I would recognize as human in some cases. I see this rabid, almost vicious creature that is demanding that I do for it what it wants. And that is just one step away from pure, extreme slavery of the masses. And as a free-thinking, free-acting human being, that concept frightens me. And that is why it's my responsibility to help educate the next generation of free thinking, free reasoning human beings. It's part of the reason I'm doing this. I don't make any money being here on YouTube. I've made exactly $0 on YouTube. 0. I don't even have patrons at my Patreon right now. So why am I doing this? Well, I'm doing this because I feel passionately about it. And I have found that somebody needs to start taking these steps and speaking these truths to people, and interacting with other people and helping spread these truths. And so I've stepped up to do it. Because, even some of the channels that I follow and I watch pretty regularly, a lot of them are missing key sections of the argument, or they think that it's not very important or very germane to the discussion at hand, when, from my expressed opinion and from my reasoning and thought, it is. And so instead of just following their lead, I chose to lead as well and find my own spot. And those of you listening to me, thank you. It is very appreciated. But that also means I can't get complacent, and neither can you. We have to keep pushing these boundaries and showing these truths. And it's slow, and it's painful, and it's tedious, but that's the way it is. Well, I hope that you think about these things as you're helping educate your children, and I hope that I have convinced you that even if you don't raise them to be religious, you raise them to be moral and not to be postmodernist, because there is a difference between real right and real wrong. And we must have a moral center for that to be true. And because that truth creates the fundamental expressions and concepts of society, doing away with it is just going to lead us back into tyranny. That concept was what was needed to create liberty-loving societies. That there was an absolute concept of good and evil that had to exist in order for something like a representative republic to be founded. Well, thank you all again for joining me. Please like and subscribe if you're on YouTube, or upvote and follow if you're on VidMe. And for those of you who are catching me from some site other than unapologeticpagan.com, please follow the link down below to unapologeticpagan.com for additional pagan and spiritual content, all online. Thank you all, and have yourselves a great day.